Oh, the IRJ, everybody. I'm sure you know the IRX and the IRD. Well, this is the Jakey Lee, the JEL 100, distilled down into a box. Look at this. All tube, real tube preamp here goes into digital backend, where as you turn up the volume, the master volume, it gets power amp simulation. From there, it goes into these beautiful IRs and that IR section. You don't have to plug it into a computer. You could just use it straight out of the box. You've got options here and there. But if you decide to plug it into a computer, you can open up the IR editor and you'll get access to a ton more IRs. You get access to the depth and presence, as well as a low pass filter. That's new and that's very cool. You could also set up presets. So if you are working with MIDI and controlling this via MIDI, you can set up like a heavy rhythm, then adjust those master settings for something maybe warmer, beefier for your solo, and then come back down to like nice heavy scoop sort of sound. So much you could do in there. But again, you don't have to if you don't want to. You could just open the box and off you go. On the back of the box, you've got a effects loop. That's mono. You have a real MIDI. You've got your USB. You have a headphone out. And I said that's mono, but there's nothing to keep you from just running the balanced out into like straight into your Eventide H90 or something like that. And now you're good. Now you're as stereo as you want to be. You could run this directly into your computer interface. You could run it into a power amp. You could run it into a head, something like a Friedman head, into the effects loop return. And now you've got a preamp going into a power amp, and it sounds awesome that way. It sounds awesome all the ways. So let's plug it in and take it for a ride. The IRJ has two distinct channels. The top channel is like a Plexi. The bottom channel starts at like an 800 and then goes into Dave's mod. So it's tighter and punchier than an 800, but that's the zone we're gonna live in there. Let us start there. There's a bright switch that you should know. If you crank the gain, the bright switch will not have a ton of effect. If you're back at around like 3 o'clock and under, you should be able to hear that nicely. When the gain's all the way up, it just kind of blows right past the bright cap. So if you really need to get some brightness on there, you can either turn the treble knob or you could go into the IR editor and adjust the presence. The IRJ ships with a ton of IRs, but the ones that are preloaded into the 3 option slots on the front are Dave's favorites. At the top, it's like a greenback. In the center, it's like a blackback. And at the bottom, it's like an EV12L, which was Jake's speaker of choice. So you could dial in your sound around those, or as I said, you could plug into the editor, put in your own IR. You could go IR crazy there. I'm going to keep it in the center position, that blackback. It's nice and balanced. It's very common for players to boost an 800 with a tube screamer. The IRJ has a pair of tube screamers. You got one for the top and one for the bottom. That is the boost function. And there are 2 little dials on the side, so you can dial in the tone and the level. And then the overall master level happens here when you're in the boost mode. So you could go from a crunchy rhythm over to your boost. another way to get that gain and tightness in channel 2, you could go to Dave's mod here, gain up. Now channel 2 is not the only rocker on this box. If you get the gain up on channel 1, it's also a great rock tone. Channel 1 will deliver the sparkly tones as well. Check this out. Let's throw the TS style boost here. The volume knob has some of that digital power amp simulation in there, so if you turn it up, you'll get some extra fatness. Just, be careful not to clip your converters going in, but it is a nice sound as you crank it up. To activate the effects loop, you just push and hold the channel 2 button, and that turns on the effects loop. And now you have that extra sauce going. When you open the IR editor, you'll see the 3 preset IRs for each channel. If you hit the folder, that allows you to load in whatever new IR you want, or if you hit that plus sign, it will open up an entire array of new IRs that come built in with the IRJ. This is also where you'll see the presence, depth, and low pass filters. Low pass means you set a filter and it lets all of the lows pass through. In this case, it lets the lows, mids, and highs through. So it's not just the lows, but it does shave off a little of that top end edge, which is quite nice. So let's say you want to go for a nice sort of bright rhythm sound. Then you want a warmer lead sound. Couple of those little switches totally transforms the overall frequency spectrum of the tone. And you could save those in MIDI so that if you're controlling this with a MIDI controller, you could have a lead sound with a little less top end, or if you want your rhythm sound to be huge, activate that thump. So that is the IRJ from Friedman Amplification. It's Jakey Lee in a box. Sadly, it doesn't come with any of his riffs, but you can get his tone. I'll put some links below. You know where to find out this stuff, and there'll be links to some of my stuff, so check that out as well. Thanks for watching. Jakey Lee. Thank you.